ask that we put this up from the District Plan Review Subcommittee, which is the review that was undertaken of our District Plan Review process by Robin McCulloch and Associates, and the report that we received at our meeting last week has been referred here to Council. So I'll move that we receive the report. Do I have a seconder, Tim?
Yep.
Is there any discussion, Yanni?
Yeah, I was just concerned that the report's based on the premise of the Peter Winder report rather than what we want as a council. So, at the time when we received the Winder report, it had very much a focus on developers and on the government expectations of us, and there was kind of an absence of environment and community input. And I see in the stakeholders that are on this report, again, it's, if you go through it, it's the IHP, ECAN, Sarah, Naitahu Property Development, CDHB, MKT, Developer, Airport, Central City Business District, Chamber of Commerce, and Foodstuffs and Property Council. But there's no one representing, I guess, the community aspect of the district plan process. So are we able to actually get some input from that sector into their expectations? Because it does seem to me that, the concerns that were raised before, which I was ready to raise in terms of this report, is that A, it's very expensive for the community to participate, so there's a huge barrier, and B, this report, I thought when we met with the consultants originally, it would be wide-ranging, not just focused on the initial Winder report, because that was only one perspective.
Maybe there's a misunderstanding, because in my view, this report, which was initiated by the Chief Executive, was in response to the Independent Hearings Panel, Strategic Directions chapter, coupled with the Winder report. And I guess the reason that we wanted to put this out in the public arena is because, there needs to be complete transparency about what is about a process that is not entirely transparent because of the way that it's been run. And as I said, I'll never agree to do it as a truncated process of the whole thing. I think what's really important in future, if anyone ends up in this situation again, is to look at what needs to be done in the post-disaster environment, prioritise that and do that first, and then look to see what else would be useful to be doing in the context of potentially, as we're now looking, to regeneration. So that to me would separate off what needs to be done immediately. I guess the important thing from the Chief Executive's point of view, and I won't speak for her, but she needed to understand that our council as an organisation was capable of responding to the challenges that have been put up by the Independent Hearings Panel, because at the end of the day, even though this is not the ideal process, I'd rather have this process than no process, because if we hadn't had a fast tracking of our district plan review, we would have simply had central government imposing changes on our district plan holus bolus. So there wouldn't have been any element of consideration, and we have made, whether some people feel it's far enough, but we have made significant changes to what would have happened to our district plan absent this process. So perhaps if I invite you, Colleen.
Thank you. Yes, I think there are two separate issues. One is about the process around the district plan review that we needed to engage in. This work that we did here and the Winder review was really about our response to that as an organisation and the things that we could control as a result of the concerns that were raised about the way that we were delivering on that. And so that was around those areas of capability and capacity, and about the culture and the planning processes, and about how we worked with people, who were involved in the district plan review. In fact, I think there's been really good improvements, and there's a lot of positive feedback around that. That's putting aside the issue about the whole process, which should be subject to a different comment. than what the role of this review was for.
So, but, sorry, I think my question's kind of been misunderstood, because we've talked to a certain group of people.
Yeah, but we have to do a full lessons learned, Yanni.
I agree with doing the full lessons learned.
But that's not what we've done here. This is to get us through the independent hearings panel process.
Yes, and I accept that.
But
what I'm saying is, part of that process, you can't separate out the residents groups, for example, who are struggling to participate. So
Yanni, we can't change the process. I mean, I think
I'll just give you a tangible example.
This is where I totally get your frustration. But you can't change a process once you're in the process.
I understand that.
So you go out and ask the community if they're disappointed at the process that we're running at the moment. Hell, they are.
It's not.
I mean, look at the coastal hazards. It was a complete unmitigated disaster to go out and consult in the time frame that we had. It wasn't sufficient time. With that, we pulled it back. So we are going to end up at the end of this process with an understanding of what the community missed out on as a result of the process that we're in. But it doesn't help us get through the independent hearings panel process that we've got in front of us now.
Sorry,
This
I understand that, but if you look at page 39, for example, one of the responses has been to appoint a panel of economists external to CCC to address concern with Section 32 reports. Some people, like the community boards, have expressed concern around the social assessment and the environmental assessment of our Section 32 reports currently now. That's work underway. So, why haven't we put in place a panel of sociologists or environmentalists to provide that same level of advice into those reports now, which is part of this process?
Part of the legal response to the Section 32 criticism from the independent hearings panel is this.
No, but
it's a legal issue. It's a question about Section 32 reports under the
that's
RMA.
right.
We have not been fully compliant, is what they found.
32 reports have to look at the social and environmental impacts as well as the economic. So what we have is a kind of series of recommendations that address the economic point of view, but don't actually address some of those other impacts that possibly aren't being accessed.
Well, but that came out as a capability issue within our resources, within the organisation. Now, we do have expertise around some of the environmental and social issues. But this is a specific deficit that was identified in the Winder review.
But that's because we only talked to the people.
No, it's not.
It isn't because we've only talked to those people.
Yeah, I'd actually argue that the planners and the urban designers do fulfil that function, and the reason that the comment was made about a lack of economic input, and that is around urban and land economists, is that actually that bit has been missing. And my question was actually going to be, who is on that panel?
So the main people that we've used have been both internal staff members, but we've also used market economics and property economics.
Right, because I know, in Auckland, Chris Parker, who's been employed by the Auckland Council, has done a lot of work in this area, and if we look at the national policy statement, a lot of that has been driven by the work around the land and urban economists around Auckland, actually understanding what the drivers are around the IUB, which I did bring up at the beginning of this process, and we haven't really dealt with that. So I think that is quite important to have a kind of a broader view of not just the social and environmental pieces, but actually what is driving the price appreciation in land values, which obviously is a huge issue as well. So I'm glad that that's happening, but I'd be quite interested to see what advice they have provided on what particular issues, just in general.
So if I could just add that whilst we raised a number of issues here, the report does actually recognise the huge commitment of staff and professionalism in terms of dealing with the issues that were raised, and that they continued under quite enormous pressures that the whole process had put them under, but to continue to improve that and to do things such as the mediation and working together to get some agreed outcomes in a way that wasn't happening before. In terms of their auditing and peer reviewing, an enormous amount of effort has gone in to change that, and the feedback has been very positive from a number of sectors, just in terms of that.
Right, so I'll put that motion. All those in favour say aye. Those opposed say no. That's carried.